Good day. I'm going to show you some pictures, and I want you to tell me something that unites all of these archetypes, just by the pictures. This one here is Dionysus. Shiva. Hermes Trismegistus. Moses. And Jesus. Or Yahshua. Well, let's go back through again. If you look at Dionysus, Dionysus was known in his other form as the snake. And as you can see, there's snakes here, right? And Shiva also has the snakes here. Interesting, right? Well, Enoch, there's two different versions of Enoch, was also known as Hermes Trismegistus. And there again, the snakes. And this one here is Moses, that has the snake on the pole. However, he compares this snake to Jesus. So here is John 3:13-15. No one has ever gone into heaven except the one who came from heaven, the Son of Man. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up, that everyone who believes may have eternal life in him. So here, Jesus is represented as the snake. Therefore, we must be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So Jesus is quite feminine, as you can see, and masculine. So he has the serpent in him, which is the divine masculine, and he has the dove in him, which is the divine feminine. Just like in this cover here, you can see it's called polarities. And so the divine masculine and the divine feminine coming together is where we unite those polarities of gender. And another way of looking at the polarities of gender is so it got the dragon again, but if you look, the dragon is on a chain, right? And look, it's Archangel Michael, or the divine masculine, right? He has the sword, but he keeps it sheathed. So and that's why he can be peaceful, and he has that dark side on a chain, right? So and then if we look at the divine feminine, it's the purity of the womb that for developing of the child. There's the dove, right? That's where we have to unite the polarities right now, is understanding that hermaphrodite is a balance between Hermes Trismegistus right here. As you can see, look at him on the dragon again, right? So that's like it's wise as a serpent, but with that wisdom, you have to keep the dragon on a chain, right? So that's a symbolism that comes back again. And so when we see the divine masculine Hermes come with the divine feminine, who is Aphrodite's. So, and these are those ideas that I think they're trying to confuse people on right now with this wokeness and all this transgenderism. Is they're trying to take over the awakening. They're even calling it woke. But really what people need to understand is we have both of these genders inside of us. And when we unite those polarities, when we're as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove, then we are becoming that hermaphrodite. And that has nothing to do with this physical body. It's a spiritual idea. So that's why we have to shut down all this transgenderism, because this is to confusing us in the polarities. Right? And even in our spirits, there's two genders, and it's just a spectrum, right? There's always people that are going to be on the masculine side and then on the feminine side. And I'm more over here on the masculine side, and that's why I can try to sit in that archetype. But it is all just oneness. The whole idea of the polarities is it's just the lacking of one or the other. But what we are is in that spectrum. When you look at Dionysus, he was known as quite a crazy. He was known as the yin and yang on crack, in a sense. But that's, to me, what the idea of Jesus is. Jesus looks very pure, and look at those eyes and all that stuff, but he'd also be a lion, right? And he has the snake, and he is the predator in him also. When he's flipping tables, he is the destroyer and the creator. And who else is that? Shiva, right? The fire in the one hand, and the drum in the other. The drum is creation, and the fire is destruction. And this hand that comes up and says, it's all calming, and it says, it's okay. And so Shiva, to me, is another archetype of what Christ is, what Hermes is, what Dionysus is these, it's destruction. Like Dionysus will tear people apart and put them back together. And we're not talking about physical, we're talking about ego death. And that's what the exorcist is. The Shiva will destroy and burn off the things in you, and so there's space to create new ones. Just as Jesus came out and was burning into society to the point where we can't hear him talk anymore, let's get rid of him. So that is what Jesus is he's scary. But he only seems scary to those that are not ready to destroy. He seems scary because he is killing something inside of us. When that fire comes in, it's destruction, but that is the rebirth. And that rebirth is based in the snake. And that's when we look at the Kundalini, it is representative of an awakening, a rebirth. And it's like those who have been born twice is when the Kundalini and the snake comes up from the base of the spine and reaches up to your crown chakra. And that's a representation of wisdom. So again, all of these things that put these together, we got the Kundalini awakening, we got the snakes, we got Dionysus, which is his other form is a snake. We have Shiva, which has the snakes, and he's the destroyer and the creator, right? Well, Dionysus was that too. Destroyed people and put them back together again, right? And Enoch is, I believe, just another amazing, powerful person. And he's kind of the lost prophet, as you can see here. The lost prophet of the Bible, Enoch of Ethiopia, greater than Abraham and holier than Moses, right? So then this is why the Ethiopian Bible carries a lot of canons that we don't have in our Bible. And I think it's important for us to understand these stories, and then we'll understand where all these connections come together. I've talked more about the divine masculine so far in this video, but now I want to talk about the divine feminine. The dark masculine's very obvious, so we might even talk a little bit of the dark feminine. The dark masculine is that dragon is not on a chain. That means that demon is awakened and he's just ravaging with no consciousness, right? So that's an obvious dark masculine. But the light, let's start with the light feminine. Well, the veil is an idea of purity too, because in the Abrahamic religions they talk about yin possession, and it's possessing somebody with your physical body. So like a woman can possess a man with her beauty, so that they treat the woman like a goddess, and the goddess is possessed by the praise from the man, and that's not set up in godliness and purity. So like the woman wears the veil to hide a lot of her beauty when she's walking around, to avoid the wrong attention, right? A lot of people be like, well, that's a touchy subject, and because we've had sexual suppression and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm with you. We can't suppress our sexuality. And so that's why the divine masculine, divine feminine is connected. That's what a lot of what that energy comes from, is from our our want to procreate and that amazing energy that's trying to, and when you have that dragon on a chain, a woman getting that dragon on the chain is actually is knowing she can take on the world with her beauty. She's so beautiful and she could take the whole world with her beauty, but in return lose her soul. So instead she wants to stay pure. She wants to do the woman's hero's journey, which is procreate and create life, right? So that's in Shiva's hands, the drum, like the mother that's creating and the father that destroys. And sometimes those are the polarities. And that's why we have to understand that the divine masculine does seem scary, because it is the destroyer. It is the assertiveness. It's the straight up. It's saying the stuff that a lot of people aren't even saying nowadays because of how coddled the nature of our world is, so nobody can even speak, right? And that's what brings up the dark feminine. So this is Kali Ma. As you can see, she's got all these men's heads around her neck, and she's holding the head of a man here, and she's got blood. And who's she standing on down below? Well, that's Shiva. That's Christ, right? That's the creator and the destroyer, the benevolent God, right? And so the dark side of the feminine is that they want a safe space. And so to create that safe space, they will kill off all the masculine energy. And they think it's for compassion. They destroy, it's weaponized compassion, right? So it's like, you are destroying my safe space by being assertive and telling me we need to change, we need to look at things. So like it's the feminine spirit that just wants to stay in the moment and doesn't want any kind of waves. When sometimes we have to create waves or burn off the dead wood. It's that the balance of creation and destruction, and the feminine that's only wants to create and it doesn't want any destruction destroys the destroyer, right? But she doesn't realize that was a benevolent destroyer that she destroyed. So this is where when we see the feminine not allowing the masculine in to say something that is a little harder to hear, but is going to set her free. Instead of listening, she destroys that and goes against and runs away from that. That's the dark feminine, and when we look at that, that's an idea of also Lilith. And in the Babylonian Adam and Eve story, and in the Sumerian Adam and Eve story, they have Lilith, which is the same thing, was the first feminist, let's say, the one that's like was so not okay with masculinity that she had herself went into masculinity, which is pathological independence, and she couldn't live in balance with the man, so she had to leave, and she decided to leave instead of trying to find that balance. And so those are the two archetypes of like that feminine spirit. And I do believe that right now are especially very like neoliberal areas and stuff that is heavily under the power of the feminine is also very much possessed with the spirit of Kali Ma. And that's they don't even know that they're in their rampage against the masculine. They are trampling over the divine masculine because they don't know the difference. So we need to stop this fight between the masculine and the feminine. And, that's how we come together. What's very interesting about this, Kali Ma and Lilith, would you rather be this archetype, Lilith, this archetype, Kali Ma, which are kind of the same archetype, or would you rather be the archetype of Aphrodite's or the archetype of Mother Mary? Look at the beauty and pureness in these archetypes, and look at the darkness and evil in these archetypes. Well, here, let's just watch this little video on how some people interpret these demons. And they interpret them as goddesses. And it's empowering to them. Well, this is what I mean by being possessed. Literally possessed by the spirit of Kali Ma and Lilith, which actually gaining power by looking up to these archetypes. So here, let's just take a look at this video.
Lilith, dark feminine goddess of independence and empowerment. From Christian and Jewish mythology, Lilith, Adam's first wife. Yes, Adam had a wife before Eve. Lilith was made as Adam's equal. Lilith left Adam because she wanted independence, freedom, and to not be controlled. Lilith is calling out to you because she wants you to be free, independent, and empowered. Kali Ma, Hindu dark feminine goddess of liberation. Kali Ma is here to help you become liberated from the dark. It's okay to embrace your darkness or your darker nature. It's okay to leave the darkness, dark situations, people, and places. Kali Ma is here to guide you through or out of the darkness. These three dark feminine goddesses.
These three dark feminine goddesses, Nyx, Lilith, and Kali Ma, are here to help you feel empowered, to feel liberated in your darkness. So this woman's actually telling you to embrace these goddesses. No, these are demons. You know, when she says here, it's okay to leave the darkness, the dark situation, peoples, and places. Yes, it is okay. However, if it's just to avoid the demon inside yourself, or if it's because your safe space is being disrupted, you don't realize is that those safe spaces that you need everywhere are those things that are eventually going to come after you. And what sets you free is some of those people that you call dark are not actually dark. They're actually just speaking a truth you need to hear. And instead, you can leave those dark people and dark places behind, right? Don't confront the demons, right? Instead, run, right? There you go. That's exactly what that archetype is about. When we have a society that is actually telling women to manifest these demons, you know, we have some issues here. And that's why I think that we have to start to talk about these dark feminine traits, because it's obvious what the dark masculine is. It's right in your face, and it's, you know, it is tearing things apart for no particular reason. But the dark feminine, it's avoidance. It's that passive aggressive nature of the dark feminine that makes them have to cut off the heads of any masculine energy that comes around them, instead of finding that balance in the genders. So for me, I want to be an archetype of this man, you know? And I've learned so much from the Hermetic teachings. Who is this from Hermes, who is also known as Enoch, you know, who is also in different cultures. These archetypes come up in different ways, like Shiva, like Dionysus. So this is how we have to unite the polarities of religions too, is realize that we have a lot of things in common, and we should find those things that we have in common, so then we can be together in that feminine and masculine, and understand, be together in our religions, and be together in all these things. Unity doesn't mean we have to all be the same. Unity is just knowing that we can trust one another. We can trust the other sex. We can trust these other religious people, because they're thinking about the same kind of lessons as us. And I'm pointing out that many of these cultures are teaching the same things as Christianity is teaching, and that we shouldn't pathologize figures like Shiva or Dionysus, because there is a lot of that, because they're just misunderstood. And to be honest, if we truly had Christ here now, he would be just as misunderstood, and that's why people would probably try to put him on a cross this same day. I hope not, but some people would try to put him on a cross. And that's the unfortunate part. So let's try to understand what the divine masculine is. And those archetypes that are scary, because they do have that chaotic feminine side inside of them, and that demon that can power it. Because you know what? That's actually where a lot of the power comes from, is from the feminine, And that's the root chakra is the feminine too, and that's where we gain a lot of our power, from the animal deep down inside, right? From that wanting to procreate. And in Hinduism, as we awaken the Kundalini, there's big parties that happen after, and it's all about procreation. So that's another thing that has to do with Shiva and and Dionysus. Is that's the Hinduism and the Dionysus is in Dionysian culture too. Is like it's an awakening to the spirit of Dionysus, or the consciousness of Dionysus, or the consciousness of Christ. And after you awaken to that, the festival is to procreate, right? So it's not these. A lot of people misunderstand what Dionysian culture is, and there is pathological Dionysian festivals that are based on hedonism and all the dark sides of the polarities. But then there's the really powerful Dionysian cultures like Rastafari. Like they bring the dance together, which is Shiva again is all about the dance, right? Same with the Dionysus, about the dance, and Rastafari, it's dancing. And it's going up, and again, in the Dionysian culture, they drink the wine, but it had some kind of psychedelic in it. And so they'd take a plant that raised them up, and they transcend in the dance, and that would bring in these spirits, right? And so there's a lot of things that we're missing because of misinterpretations and our inability to look at other stories and the connecting dots that allow us to that higher wisdom, because we're going to learn the higher truths by reading all the ancient books, and we have to have the eyes to see and the ears to hear to be able to discern what words don't resonate with our hearts and what ones do, because we're going to find goodness, mostly goodness, in all these religions, but then we're going to find stuff that we're like, whoa, no thanks. And that's how we have to be. We have to experience God, how He gives it to us, to our heart, and you will know what that is when it hits you. So I hope we can all be hermaphrodites spiritually, right? And I hope that we can try to use this lesson as a way to even teach some of these people that are confused about their gender, because this could have a lot to do with confused people that are trying to awaken. I hope everybody has a lovely afternoon, and I hope that we can all be like this man here, be as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Much love and God bless.